This is something that everyone needs to know how to do. The first step is to take the wheel off. You start by undoing the brakes and then undo the quick release. If it's the front wheel, you need to unwind the quick release slightly so that it clears the safety tabs at the bottom of the forks. If it's the back wheel you're taking out, you need to shift the chain into the smallest sprocket at the back. Make sure you pull the derailleur back out of the way so that the sprockets clear the jockey wheels when it drops out. Take your tyre levers, and at the opposite end of the wheel from the valve, you need to insert the first one underneath the bead of the tyre. Now this is the bit that sits inside the rim. Take the second tyre lever and insert it under the bead of the tyre about 12 centimetres further down the rim. When you lever the first one and then you lever the second one, the bead of the tyre should pop over the edge of the rim, and it also should free up enough slack in the tyre now that you can pull the rest of it off with the heel of your hand. So take the valve and pull this out of the rim. If there's a lock ring that holds your valve in place in the rim, you need to remove this first. Once you've done that, you can just take the tube out. If you're changing your inner tube because you've had a puncture, the next step is really important. You need to check the inside of the tyre for any foreign objects that might have caused your puncture, thorns or glass or anything like that. Take your new inner tube, remove the dust cap and remove the lock ring, and then partially inflate the inner tube just so that it holds its shape. Take the valve of the tube and insert it through the valve hole in the rim, and then tuck the rest of the tube back into the well of the rim. To refit the last side of the tyre, I find it really helps if the wheel is on the ground in front of me, pointing up, so I can just tuck the bead inside the rim with my fingers and then push it with both my thumbs on either side, all the way around the rim. Take the last bit of bead and insert your tyre lever very carefully underneath it, and then lever it so that the tyre just pops back inside the rim. You might need 2 or 3 tyre levers for this last little bit. Be really careful at this point because it's quite easy to pinch the inner tube with the tyre lever when you're doing this last stage. So just double check when you've got the tyre lever inserted before you start applying any pressure that the inner tube isn't caught here. Make sure that the tyre is fully seated on the rim and there are no bits of inner tube sticking out, because when you re-inflate it at this point it could burst. Put the wheel back in the frame and away you go. Just remember though that if it's the back wheel that you're doing, you need to pull the derailleur towards the back of the bike again, just so that it can clear the sprockets and the back wheel seats properly. Put your brakes back on and you're ready to go. You can take the tyre off without using tyre levers, and this is my pro tip. I take the wheel and put it in front of me, facing up. I take my thumbs and I run it on the inside of the bead, trying to force any slack between the bead and the rim towards the bottom. And then I take this. Hopefully there's enough there that it will clear the rim and you can just pull it over with your fingers or your thumbs. Now, let us know how you find it. You can use the comment section down below to ask any other questions or simply just comment on what you've seen.